Hello, this is George once more. Now I'm going to treat you to some of my thoughts about Theresa May and tell you what to expect. Because let me see, today is the 17th of July 2016. Theresa May became Prime Minister only 4 days ago. Some people who are numerologists suggest it's inauspicious that she's the 13th Prime Minister appointed by Queen Elizabeth II, and she was appointed on the 13th day of the month. I think that's complete furphy. Anyway, there have been many trite observations made comparing her to Margaret Thatcher. Now, I know that superficially there are some similarities. They were both English women who were in their 50s when they became Prime Minister from the provinces. They came from middle-class families, they went to Oxford, they're both married, they're both members of the Conservative Party. But looking beyond that, you'll see there are a few significant differences. Let me see. Theresa May has been Home Secretary for 6 years. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with British politics, that's one of the great offices of state. So she's one of the people just below the Prime Minister. The others being the Foreign Secretary and Chancellor of the Exchequer. Chancellor of the Exchequer is what other countries would call Finance Minister. Theresa May, she's popular within the party, she's had high status, she's been tipped as a possible successor for several years, whereas Margaret Thatcher, though she had been Education Secretary in the early 1970s, under the Prime Minister at the time, Edward Heath, she wasn't widely seen as a serious contender for the leadership of the Conservative Party. It was regarded as a shock when she won. Margaret Thatcher became leader of the Conservative Party when her party was in opposition, whereas Theresa May has taken over when her party's in government, which is why she's become Prime Minister immediately. Let me see. Theresa May has no children. Margaret Thatcher had twins, although that's not very important. The fact that Theresa May had no children was used against her by her rival Andrea Leadsom, but Andrea Leadsom's remarks were seen as tasteless, unfair, and that alone seemed to torpedo Andrea Leadsom's leadership campaign. In fact, Leadsom probably would have lost anyway, but this ensured it happened sooner, and Leadsom gave up the ghost. Let me see what else. Obviously, Theresa May was an economist, Margaret Thatcher is a barrister. Margaret Thatcher is known for her monetarist policies and being very ideological. The thing is, when Margaret Thatcher took over as leader, she wasn't regarded that way. She only became that way in the mid-1980s. When she became Prime Minister in 1979, she was an average Conservative and cautious at first, unsure of her position, felt that elder statesmen in the party might be able to manoeuvre her out, whereas Theresa May seems to be quite self-assured, has the backing of a high majority of members of Parliament of her party, and her opposition's in disarray. So back to Theresa May, she seems to epitomise dull but decent. She doesn't have many enemies, about the only one being Michael Gove, who's widely loathed within the Conservative Party, detested by the teaching profession. He was Education Secretary for several years. Some people hold a candle for him, think he had the right idea. Let me see. Theresa May is all about Tory pragmatism. She carries on from David Cameron, whom she praised at the moon. She said he was a magnificent modern Prime Minister. So she's non-ideological, and that's what helps the Conservatives stay in office. She's technocratic. Like Cameron before her, the big idea is that there is no big idea. It's just a managerial style, dry as dust. She's probably a liberal within the party. She was a Remainer in this Brexit campaign, which is not really about being liberal or illiberal. The irony is that she has to deliver Brexit, despite campaigning to keep the United Kingdom within the European Union. Her opening speech outside number 10 Downing Street was astonishing. It was a sort of speech that a Labour Prime Minister could have delivered. She kept repeating this phrase, social justice, which the left thinks that they've got for themselves. She talked about gay marriage being a major achievement of the party. So it seems the Tories have stolen Labour's clothes. This is what Labour did in the 90s. They had plagiarised traditional Tory mantles. The Labour Party is now all at sea. But it may not be plain sailing for Theresa May. There are economic headwinds. The FTSE 100 is down a bit. The pound has fallen. There's been some recovery, but not enough. The junior doctors are going to go on strike again. Austerity is carrying on. The UK's lost its AAA credit rating. Labour may chuck out their leader Jeremy Corbyn and get a better one, and the Liberal Democrats might do likewise. We should anticipate no great changes from her. She'll strive to preserve the Union. She'll be cautious, avoid foreign wars. She's 59, not that old these days. She could be there for a very long time.